China or Asia is now on par with Europe or the rest of the world in terms of quality. Yes, we have a huge network. The tech giants are desperately searching for manufacturers around the world. You have to consider that by now, almost 70% of all printed circuit boards are produced in China and Taiwan.
The customer experiences a failure of their circuit board, production comes to a halt. How would the process work with you then?
That's exactly the difference compared to a traditional distributor who only has a sales office. We are a manufacturer within Würth Elektronik.
A warm welcome to another episode of Electronics Unplugged. Last time we had Alexander Gertz from Asia Production as our guest, and today we have another guest from Asia Production. We want to talk a lot about the topic of quality and also about technology. So Manuel, why don't you briefly introduce yourself?
Yes, hello Markus. It's great to be here today. My name is Manuel Mairhofer. I've been with Würth Elektronik since 2018. I originally come from the field of quality management, but I am now the technical director and part of the management board of the Würth Elektronik CPT group.
Last time with Alex, we talked a lot about your partners in Asia. What I find really interesting now is that when I think of Asia or specifically China, and I think this is true for many others as well, you automatically think of poor quality. What would you say to people who think that?
Yes, that might be a bit of an outdated way of thinking. Of course, when people think of China, the first thing that comes to mind is cheap, cheap, cheap. That's just something that's been ingrained in people's minds. But in the meantime, that has changed quite dramatically, especially in high-tech areas like printed circuit boards. There has been significant progress, and China or Asia is now fully on par with Europe or the rest of the world when it comes to quality and standards.
Okay, and what are you doing in Asia Production to ensure that the quality really meets the standards we need?
Of course, everything begins right at the very start. We carefully examine the designs, we make sure they are produced in the most appropriate and specific partner factory in Asia, and we oversee every single process from start to finish, so that we can ensure the highest possible quality standards both during production and in the final inspection.
Okay, and how does it work if I, as a customer, order a circuit board from you? Do you then decide in the end where the circuit board will be manufactured?
There are a couple of different ways. If you as a customer say, I want to audit a factory, then we will only produce for you in that factory. If you say you don't mind and you completely leave the responsibility to Würth Elektronik, and that's the best way for me, then I always choose the most suitable factory. Of course, I will let you know about that. We are completely transparent from start to finish. That means you will already be informed in the offer about which factory we would produce the circuit board in. You place the order, then we produce it there, and you will also find this information on your delivery documents.
Okay, and how do you go about selecting suppliers? I mean, Alex mentioned that you have a very large number of suppliers in your portfolio. How do you decide which partner or supplier you add to your portfolio?
Well, I hope you have a bit of time because that's a long-term process. It actually takes several months, so it's not something that happens overnight. First of all, we always look at where we have potential or need, whether that's technological or commercial. We have what's called a long list, which includes about 750 PCB manufacturers in Asia. We filter through that list. We have set criteria for this. Who can handle which technologies? Who has which certificates? And so we keep narrowing the selection down further and further. And then we select between 3 and 5 potential partners and send our audit team, the certified audit team, on site to conduct a very thorough potential analysis according to VDA 6.3.
What I find quite interesting now is that you said you have 750 potential partners, suppliers. How do you come up with that number?
Well, we have a huge network. Most of our employees actually come from PCB manufacturing. In China, there are over 3,000 suppliers or manufacturers for printed circuit boards. Nevertheless, people know each other, and the PCB world is actually not that big. We are very well connected, and we keep a close eye on who is building what and where new factories are being established, and which new technologies are emerging.
And how, on what basis do you decide which partners you add to your portfolio?
Yes, as I already mentioned, of course the question is, where do we currently have urgent needs? For us, it's the case that for every technology, we always have at least 2, preferably 3 reliable partners in order to ensure a certain level of comparability, maintain quality standards, but also to have competitive pricing.
What I find really interesting now, and likely for many of our audience and viewers as well, is how does it actually work? You are responsible for quality. Now let's really play through such a scenario. The customer experiences a failure of their circuit board, resulting in a production line stoppage. What would the process look like for you in that case?
Yes, first of all, we start with a comprehensive analysis. It's always important to have a contact person. That means the customer needs a specific person or a group of people who take care of it, who are actually the primary process owners for the complaint in this case. That means it would be incredibly difficult if the customer had to deal with someone on another continent. This way, we can initiate all necessary measures directly. We block goods that are in circulation somewhere, and we immediately start a brand new production run. That means a new production run can always take place at the factory in China. In other words, in the QTA process, goods are reproduced or newly manufactured as quickly as possible. But we also always have the option to switch to our own production facilities in Germany. That's the difference compared to a typical distributor who only has a sales office. We are a manufacturer in the field of electronics.
So that means, for example, if the circuit board was produced in Asia, you could simply switch production to Germany?
Yes and no. Of course, it's a bit dependent on the technology involved.
Okay.
If the circuit board is specified exactly, meaning it has to have this exact coating, then the option to produce in Germany is limited. In that case, we have to go through Asia. But that also works very quickly. Just recently, we had another case. A customer called, their competitor could no longer deliver, and they needed the circuit board extremely fast. We had the circuit board with a special coating manufactured in China in 4 working days.
Wow.
We organized a hand carry. The customer had the circuit board on their desk in less than a week. Hand carry might sound pretty expensive at first, but of course it's nothing compared to potential line stoppages at the customer's site. So delivery capability is always ensured, and when that works out, of course, everyone is happy and also a bit proud of the team's achievement.
Yeah, sure. If the production line at a customer actually comes to a halt, then price probably doesn't matter anymore, and hand carry is probably the only option left. Does that actually happen to you more often?
Yes and no. There are some issues with scheduling at the customer's end, and that actually happens to us quite often. The demand suddenly spikes, the customer needs more, and then we usually switch to a faster shipping method. Hand carry rarely happens, but it's always an option. QTA, that's our daily bread. We're specialized in high mix, low volume, and really processing that quickly with extremely high quality.
Okay, and what is technologically possible in Asia anyway, right? Well, I always just think of standard printed circuit boards. What options do you actually have there?
Well, you see, Marcus, it is important to keep in mind that by now, almost 70% of all printed circuit boards are currently produced in China and Taiwan.
Wow.
What that implies is, of course, that massive production volumes in consumer electronics are processed or manufactured and assembled there. Nevertheless, with over 3,000 manufacturers, we naturally face exceptionally intense competitive pressure. That means they have to keep investing in automation, but also in technologies. There's absolutely no foreseeable end in sight whatsoever at the very top. If you take a close look at the current massive AI boom, the global tech giants are desperately searching across the entire world for manufacturers who are capable of producing their complex circuit boards. But in the end, they almost always find themselves right back in China, because both from a sophisticated technological standpoint and in terms of sheer production capacity, there is simply no one else on the planet who can do it.
Yes, you just mentioned AI, and right now the demand is of course extremely high. So how is it with your portfolio now? Are you even able to meet larger demands?
We can meet much larger demands. Unfortunately, AI itself is somewhat leaving Europe behind. The real action is actually happening in Asia and, of course, in America. Nevertheless, we have enough capacity to produce circuit boards, advanced and highly technological circuit boards, in Asia as well. And for that, I actually brought a couple of different sample prototypes here with me for you.
Yes, very interesting. Go ahead, show me what you've brought.
First of all, here is a rigid flex circuit board.
Okay, so what I see here is a green printed circuit board, which is divided into 3 sections, and it is also flexible right here in the middle. Yeah, I'm curious, what is the deal with that?
That is exactly right. The primary advantage of a rigid flex circuit board is that I have a single circuit board, a comprehensive all-in-one integrated solution. Traditionally, this specific design would have been made so that we had two rigid circuit boards, meaning two separate assembly processes, and in the end, the two circuit boards would be manually connected together with a cable.
Ah, okay.
That's a
Huge advantage.
And also in terms of handling,
Yes. Very interesting. Yes, completely flexible. I can actually bend it around. Yes, in absolutely all directions in this case. What else did you bring? Oh, the little mirror.
impressive. An interesting circuit board. You can see yourself in it.
Yes, exactly. So here I have the circles. Yes. And it is honestly just like a polished mirror. I can actually see myself in it. Around it, it's white. Why is it white and not green?
White is, of course, the absolute best choice if I want to reflect natural light or bright LED light. But here we also have a specially treated aluminum surface, so it's an aluminum circuit board. That gives me a reflectivity of 98%. You can't get that everywhere in the world. Of course, it's especially highly useful wherever I need a lot of bright light, for example in medical operating rooms, but also in vibrant entertainment settings, like maybe in a busy nightclub.
Yeah, you can actually see right through it. Okay.
Here's another circuit board for you. Yes, very special.
A small square one?
The material is also not your typical standard circuit board material. Here, the entire design element is actually constructed out of glass.
Yes.
And I've already applied conductor tracks onto the surface.
Yes?
That's also a technology that not everyone can do. It's transparent, and I can even make through connections.
So what's the big advantage of a board like this?
It's a design element, it's transparent.
Okay.
But it also has special properties from the glass that the FR4 just doesn't offer me.
And now you have another circuit board with you, square with a big hole in it, right here.
Okay, go ahead, hold it in your hand. As you can tell, it's quite a bit heavier.
Yes.
Again, the substrate material used here is not conventional FR4 material. It's a ceramic circuit board. These pockets that you can see right there, they are not depth milled. That's simply not possible to do at all because of the brittleness of the material. I need a very special laser for that. This particular circuit board is currently heading out to a heavy ion test laboratory.
What's the deal with the ceramic?
It's extremely complex to produce. Ceramic material provides excellent performance in heat dissipation.
Okay. Yeah, I understand. Really very, very interesting. Thanks for bringing that, Manuel.
As you can clearly see, we do not just carry ordinary standard items, so we're really going all the way to the top.
You've already mentioned a bit about the applications of these circuit boards. Could you tell us in which specific fields you are actually operating? So which customers do you supply?
To put it briefly, there's really nothing we don't supply. Traditionally, of course, a significant portion is allocated to the EMS industry, meaning the assembly industry, but also directly to OEMs. We are deeply involved in sensor technology. We are part of the European backbone. That means we're deeply embedded in classic industrial electronics. Medical technology is also growing strongly. But we also supply the aviation industry. Furthermore, another area that is currently seeing significant growth is the defense sector.
Oh, really? So you also supply the defense sector? I mean, the war in Ukraine is ever present for all of us. So does that mean that as a military customer, I could also order from you?
Yes and no. That means we have very strict mechanisms in place at Würth Elektronik. We always carefully examine and verify whether there is clear proof of dual use. Dual use in this specific context refers to the question, can the circuit board also be used for a civilian application, or is it actually used for a civilian application, rather than being intended just for a defense-related application? If that is ensured, then we can also produce the circuit board in the Far East. Otherwise, we actually only do that in Germany.
It seems that you really offer a very, very broad portfolio, both technologically and, of course, in terms of your wide range of different customers. Yes, Manuel, thank you. What I'm taking away from this is that in this sense, there are actually no qualitative differences. I think that's really significant. I honestly have to admit to you all, I also had my own personal prejudices, but today you really managed to completely dispel and clear them up for me. Thank you so much for being here with us today, and for taking the time to have a wonderful chat with us about this important topic. Many thanks to all of you as well for watching and listening to us today. Be sure to tune in to our very next episode for another really exciting and fascinating topic. Join us. Yes, Manuel, thanks again for being here.
My pleasure, it was fun.
Thank you.